Hi and welcome back to Express Academy. I'm Neor and this is the second video of our Lpic1 course. At the beginning, I would like to take a few moments to discuss some of the basis of Linux operating system and kernel, as well as the concepts of open source and GNU license, and finally we'll talk about Linux distributions. Linux is an open source operating system originally created in 1991 by Linus Torvalds. Unlike Windows or Mac OS, Linux is free and open source, meaning everyone can view, modify, and distribute the source code. Typically, Linux is packaged as a Linux distribution, which contains supporting libraries, system software, kernel, and several components offered by the GNU project. Many Linux distributions use the term Linux in their titles, but the Free Software Foundation uses GNU Linux title to focus on the necessity of GNU software. Open source and GNU license. Open source software is a software with a source code that anyone can inspect, modify, or enhance. It's usually developed collaboratively and the source code is made available under licenses that allow modification and redistribution. Some key advantages of open source include flexibility. Users are free to change and adapt the software for their needs. Security. The code is exposed for everyone to audit. Cost. Open source software is generally free to acquire and use. Community. Development is done collaboratively by a community of users and developers. Major examples of open source tools include Linux operating system, MySQL and PostgreSQL databases, WordPress blogging platform, Firefox web browser, and programming languages like Python, PHP, and Ruby. The GNU Public License, or GPL, is a widely used free software license originally written by Richard Stallman for the GNU project. Its purpose is legally protect the concept of copyright, which ensures software freedom and openly distributed source code. Linux kernel. The Linux kernel is the core component of Linux operating systems. The kernel handles the fundamental system tasks like managing the system's CPU and memory, allocating hardware resources, scheduling processes, and handling the core system calls for software. As a monolithic kernel, Linux has all the core kernel components in a single address space, but it also supports loadable kernel modules for adding and removing functionally as needed. The kernel also has a vibrant open source community with thousands of developers who contribute patches and new code. The Linux kernel powers everything from smartphones to supercomputers. Its modular architecture allows it to scale from embedded systems to massive enterprise developments. Linux distributions. A Linux distribution, often called a distro, is an operating system built on top of the Linux kernel that include a collection of software packages. Different distros have different philosophies and intended purposes. There are many distributions made for particular target functions like security, gaming, desktops, servers, or embedded devices such as Raspberry Pi systems. Almost every modern distribution is ready to use and pre-compiled, while others, such as Gentoo Linux, are composed of source code that any user can locally compile during installation to use their system configuration. Although there are many distributions, there are three major Linux distribution families: Red Hat, SUSE, and Debian. You should know there are many individual distros that are based on these three families, as you can see some of the important ones in the picture below. On this course, I'll be using Fedora, which is a RPM-based distro, and Ubuntu, a Debian-based one. Now that you've learned about the basic Linux concepts, we can start preparing our labs and continue our Linux journey.